G'day and welcome back to the Shine Wellbeing Veg Patch. Our first project today is planting scarlet runner beans. Now these are an amazing high yielding bean and they're actually one of the highest yielding bean in the world. I've got my patch caddy here which carries all my various tools that I use day by day, and these are one of the homemade plant labels that we'll be using today to label the scarlet runner beans. And here are our little beauties, our scarlet runner beans, and I've got them on a patch plate. So the patch plate is something that I have around the garden. I've got a couple of them, and they are the perfect size for setting up your seedlings before you even go and pop them in the ground. So when they are transplanting seedlings, this is generally when they're most at risk. And so you'll see here I'm using some sea salt. Now I keep the sea salt in this little tub, and it is fantastic because when it was in the bottle I never used it, but I have it out here on the patch bench, and it is just so useful and quick to grab and use. Now sea salt really helps to reduce transplant shock. So what I've done is I've popped a couple of drops on the plate, and now I'm adding water, and so this is making a beautiful sea salt soup in preparation for the roots. And this is one of the things that sea salt does so great, is that it supports the roots through transplant shock. So here are our beautiful scarlet runner beans. They're definitely ready to be transplanted. They should have been done perhaps a week or two earlier, but you know, life is life and you can't always be on time. So I'm just dividing these up carefully, trying to feel for where the roots are and the resistance to pulling them apart, so that I'm minimizing the amount of root damage as I tear them apart into individual plants. And there they are, all ready to go, and they're soaking now in that sea salt solution, so this will reduce that transplant shock. Let's head them up to Veg Temple 1. And here we are in Veg Temple 1, and our climbing frame's already in place, and they're going in here just along the side because they won't take up much space. So what I'm doing now is just scratching back the thick layer of mulch that I keep on all of the veg temples and popping it in the ground. Now, another way that I help to improve the soil and also will take care of the soil and also improve my transplant rates is that I try not to disturb too much of the soil profile. So you can see I shove the digger in and then I'm shuffling it across. I'm not actually tipping that soil upside down. This reduces the amount of mess that it makes, so it's not we're not getting soil all mixed into the mulches, and then it makes it super easy to pop the plant back in. But the big advantage of doing this is that you're not changing the soil layers, and because different microbes and different organisms live at different levels, so you're still going to create some disturbance, there's no way around that. But you can see it's just a simple little scoop and push as opposed to digging, because the bulk of what I do here in the Shine Wellbeing Veg Patch is following a no-dig principle. And I just press that down, compacting that soil a little bit around the plant, and then popping the mulch back in. And you can see I'm also interplanting, so this is going in between some potatoes, and this is something that we use again to minimize the amount of damage that comes to the plants, simply by keeping the ecosystem really diverse and not having too many of the same things growing in the same veg temple. So we'll be harvesting lavender next, and I'm going to show you how I do that and how I reset my lavender when it's looking a bit tired. But for now, we're going to water in these scarlet runner beans. Now we do have a drip irrigation system in place, but when it comes to planting out your seedlings, you always want to make sure that you water them in well. And there we go, all done. And we're popping over, checking in on the Chantenay carrots. They've grown beautifully. I have started to thin these out. So moving on to our next project now, which is revitalizing this lavender plant. Now it's looking pretty sad. It's got some beautiful lavender heads on it right now, so I'm going to take those off. And I like to take a little bit of stem with it, and this just makes drying them and bunching them up easier. But also I want to trim this lavender down because it is starting to get a little straggy in the heart of the plant. And I'm going to show you how I revitalize it in a moment. Initially, we'll just take off all of the flower heads. Now I'm combing my fingers through the plant to take out all of the dead material in the heart of the plant, and you can see I just sort of zhuzh it up. And this is exactly how I keep my lavenders looking fabulous. That looks better already. Still a little scruffy. We're going to use our sea salt pump again and just pop a couple of drops in there just to help revitalize the plant. Because it is in a pot, it's important to keep the nutrients coming, but lavender doesn't like to be fed too heavily. Sea salt's a great addition. And we'll give it a good water in. I like to water directly into the soil, and you see me pulling the plant back and away so that I don't get too much water on the actual foliage of the lavender, because they don't particularly like it. And there we are. Gorgeous lavender blooms, but they're not going to go to waste. In the patch caddy, I have my plant ties. I'll just chop some of my plant tie off. I use a soft cotton tie for all of my plants and buy it in a large roll. And I just keep that roll in the patch caddy so it's handy and available whenever I want it. I'm going to sun dry them. So tie a knot and then just create a loop. And that loop is what I'll use to hang it and let it air dry. So coming up, we've got a hungry visitor that drops in. I didn't know who was causing all the chaos that you're about to see, but we'll discover that in a moment. So I'm going to hang it up here on the hooks at the gathering place, and I'll leave that to air dry and sun dry because we don't have any rain coming, and this does have a roof over it, so it's protected. And here we are. The vandals are in place. I was looking at the kumquat and I was wondering what on earth is ripping off the fruit and throwing it on the ground, and I couldn't work it out. And there was quite a lot of fruit, probably 20 or more a day, that were strewn all over the ground. And these are the culprits. They're an Australian sulphur-crested cockatoo, and they appear to be loving the kumquat. They're bending the branches and biting the branches to move around the tree, and so they're naturally tip pruning the tree at the same time, which is quite handy, I guess. And you can see that they're loving the beautiful juice out of these, but they're seeking the seeds. Once they've got the bulk of their seeds, they even pull out the actual flesh of the fruit, and they're just loving the seeds. Don't mind sharing the kumquats with them all. But now it's time to clean up the mess. And so I always have this bucket hanging on the shed door, and so it makes it super easy to get. And you can see the damage that they've done. This is one morning's worth of damage that they've done. I really don't mind at all. None of this will go to waste. And this particular kumquat produces more fruit than we could ever eat. I'll just pick them up and make sure that they don't go to waste. And they'll become food for the Shimol being hens. And while I'm here, I'll give the tree a little prune and clip off this sprout. Look at all that. They really enjoy themselves. Go and give these to the chickens now. So let's have a wander and see what's new in the Shimol Being Veg Patch. We've added in some bird nesting boxes, and this is designed to help to bring in more of the native birds to help keep pests at bay. It's just a natural control. So you just pop them around in various places. And these were old nesting boxes that were going to go to waste. And here's another new addition. This incredible butterfly net. It's fantastic for catching the white cabbage moth. And look at the hearts coming through on the cabbages now. They're just so beautiful. Here we are in the Taj Veg Temple number 1, and we'll check in on the asparagus. Now you might recall, if you've been watching for a long time, that we just recently planted some purple asparagus and they finally started to come up. So incredibly excited about this. And some other new things. Popped in a water feature here on the end of the compost bin, and I've got a pump coming in for that, so we'll see that running soon. And some new shelving or racks for hanging up the Shimol Being portable trellises. These are so handy, and I just wanted them closer and all stacked away neatly, and there they are. Plenty of room to add some more. And let's update now on the Shimol Being Dove Temple. It's really been coming along. Lots of different things happening, but you can see we have trimmed back the stable door to help that to open up a little bit more, so that needs repainting. We've added in this little platform here and this little dove door. Now this actually opens up And I love the distressed kind of look of this. It's an old candelabra, and I took out the glass out of the back of it and took out the extra framing so that the birds can walk straight through. And then there's another platform on the inside, so they jump up onto that and then they can simply fly out the small door without having to open up bigger doors. And we're past the Espalier camellia, which is still moving along nicely, and looking into the inside of their outdoor area. And here we have another new addition, so we've got a longer platform and a door, so I can actually close them off if I don't want them to come out. And it works quite well, as you can see. Thanks so much for joining me today in the Shine Wellbeing Veg Patch. Hope you have a beautiful day. Shine on.